o'clock, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Pursuant to section 38. Oh, yes, ma'am. Let's rise for invocation. Father in heaven, we thank you for this gathering. And Lord, we ask that you bring the darkness into the light as we move forward and we seek your wills and your ways. We thank you for all the things here. In Christ's name, Jesus' name. Okay, section 3813 of the Texas Penal Code, hindering proceedings by disorderly conduct. A person commits offense if he intentionally hinders an official proceeding by violent or tumultuous behavior or disturbance. A person commits offense if he recklessly hinders an official proceeding by noise or violence or disturbance and continues after explicit official request to proceed. And under this offense, this is a Class A misdemeanor. Action items 2 and 3. I would ask for a motion to table these 2 items until we have properly investigated them.
I make a motion to table.
I second the motion.
We have a second. The motion will be tabled.
Any call for vote?
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 4, to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Move to accept the minutes to them. Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. We will approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Next we have open forum. In open forum, we've asked that everybody signed in, anyone wishing to address the board may do so. Do we have those?
Does anyone know where the sign-in sheet is? Did everybody sign the sign-in sheet?
Oh, it's outside.
It's outside.
Okay. No one wishing to address the board. Therefore, we'll move forward to number 6. Financial and statistical reports and the bad debt write-off.
I'm going to go ahead and address this at this time, and next board meeting I'll let Vicki take the reins and run with it. I wanted to give her a few times here before I gave it to her. So this will be not necessarily the last time, but I'll put it through the next time. But also, but tonight I'm just going to go ahead and address it myself. So in front of page 13. Page 13 is your financial highlights, and it actually recaps what you're going to see for the major concerns throughout the rest of the book. To call your attention to the fact that in the bank for the hospital we had $480,574.01. And in the Parkview's bank account at the end of this particular month we had $187,916.18 for a total of $668,490.19. That's on page 13, and I'm going to try again to draw the conclusions to what page feeds the next page. On page 18 is your actual balance sheet. And that's where you actually get your numbers for your cash, amongst other things that run down through for the district as a whole. Well, now that on page 18, that's the hospital. So let me back you up. Let's go back to page 15. I missed it on page 15. That's a recap of the balance sheet for the district as a whole. That includes both entities on page 18. Just to do a rundown, what you have here is you have your current year and last year, and you can see where we're running together. Again, remember, this is both entities together, so your total current assets have increased by about $300,000 or so if you total current assets. Also, as you look at your total assets, you can see that they've also increased by a dollar amount. The reason we see an increase in these assets, first we have a little bit of increase in cash, which is good. We also have increases in our assets because we've had the roof put on and we've had to buy several pieces of equipment for the hospital. That's why you're seeing an increase in your total assets. If you go down into your next current liabilities for the district, your total current liabilities, they've increased slightly, not a whole lot, about $85,000, but that's going to run in accordance with whatever leases are due in the next 12 months. And we do that, and we work that up from October to the present time. You then see your taxes that you have collected for your revenues that are coming in. This is what we have posted as deferred credits, meaning this is money that's waiting to come in. And you can see your deferred debt service revenue is a lot less. That's because we do not handle that anymore. That goes to the Bank of New York after we refinance the bonds for the rest of it. So we really don't have the tax appraisal district actually sends that money to the Bank of New York and they take care of that for us. And then we have the long-term liabilities, which are carried over to the next page. And it actually shows your bonds that are payable for the next 10 years, and it breaks down the earnings to the current year earnings. And you can see we have quite an increase from last year. We are becoming every day, every month, we're becoming a little more financially stable. That's a good sign, and that's, again, from both entities, looking from both entities. The next page on page 17 is a recap of what you just looked at for the whole district. And it's not trying to be redundant in what we put in the books. We try to draw a conclusion, and sometimes these financial sheets are a little hard to read, so we create this sheet that makes it a little more concise and hopefully a little more self-explanatory. We try to get the books out as soon as we can. We've been running a little behind on this because of the health plan system. And if you will allow me to, because administrative reports are going to come next, and it's hard for me to talk about anything without going ahead. So I'm going to say, just do the administrative report at the same time. We're still in the mix with health plan. They were actually here the last 2 days. We did a major upgrade Monday night, Tuesday morning. We had a few glitches, but we were able to get through those, and everything appears to be running. We're still on target, trying to make meaningful use so that we can get the money back from the government, and we're going to continue to try to stay on target. We do have a window of opportunity. It's not like we had one day, we didn't make it, it's too late, so we're still working on that. Everybody seems to be somewhat satisfied with health plan, but they're not completely satisfied. But that probably would have been true with any financial package that you would have bought. It's been rough going. There's no way to hide that. But I will commend every department heads, as well as those people in the staff department for sticking to and getting through this, what has been really a hair-raising, hair-pulling situation. Every department needs to be commended because it involves every department, as well as the clinics. And the doctors have had their taste of it a little bit, but theirs is coming about September when the doctors will really get involved. And so we're not through, but we're getting closer to it. That's the recap on the balance sheet. Now, see how this ties together on now page 18, 18, and 19. That's just the balance sheet for the hospital itself. In other words, if you took Part D's balance sheet, you would add this balance sheet to get the whole district. And again, which I had told you before, we're running a little low on cash, $480,000. From over last year, that's because of our conversion when we were slow getting the bills out. Our receivables was going to go up, our cash is going down, but we're stabilizing right now, and we're getting that fixed as quickly as possible. If you compare the year's total assets, you can see we have quite a few more assets, total assets than we did last year. That's because of the equipment. We're virtually completely updated on every piece of equipment in the hospital, lab, x-ray, and a lot Our current liabilities, you can see our accounts payable is down. It's not as down as much as I want it to be, but it appears that every time we take 2 steps forward, we have to take about 4 or 5 steps back. And right now, you can feel the air conditioning in the room. For some reason, this was our year to lose nearly every piece of air conditioning all the way up to this point. This is not hooked to the main air conditioning in the hospital. It says it's on unit, but it went out too. And the hospital is still down. We're probably into it for close to $50,000 right now. We received 2 more bills today for a total of about another $16,000 to $20,000. So it's getting closer and closer to 100,000, which I originally said it would probably be. Then somebody said we could do it for 20, but maybe they need 20 at a time. Because we're still, pushing trying to get that big. Part of it's fixed, it's not fixed as a whole. We have the patient rooms cooling to the best of our ability. It's still not what you would say cool, but it's not as hot as it has been. Page 24. Actually, page 22 through 24. That's the checks that were written for this whole month. And we pay a variety of vendors. You'll see the payment to some of the doctors. And this is just put in here for the convenience of knowing where the money's going. If you ever have a question about any of these checks, feel free to come up. You can come up after you get your book. You can come up today. You can come up today. You can come up tomorrow. Pick out a check. We go to accounts payable. Sandra, she can pull the check and she will show you the backup and who signed off on it, so you can see the details. Exactly what the checks are and why they were written and what the purpose of them was. That holds true for part of you too. Over there you can see Missy. She's the accounts payable person. She can pull the check, she can pull it back up, and you can see who wrote off on the purchase and see what it was for. If you ever have a question about it. Because I realize that as you get these books and you run down the checks here, you see this individual's name, and you have no idea who that is or what it's about. And you have a right, as every citizen has a right, because this is open records. They can come in and ask anything about anything they want to. They have a right to see it. And it's tax dollars, for a large portion of it. Some of it's, still government money that comes from federal taxes, but it's on page 33 and 34. This is the profit and loss statement for the hospital only. Again, it's a recap of what has happened up to this point in time, and this does not compare it to last year. What it does is it's comparing it what happened. If you look up at the top, you say current period, that's what happened in this period this year, and then it shows you what the budget was for this year. I'll just take the first line and give you a for instance. I'm not going to go through every one. In this particular line, our inpatient revenue was 304, and we had budgeted 312, so we're running a little behind in inpatient revenue for that particular month. If you go across, you can see our revenue to date that we collected is 272. We had budgeted 2496, so we're really ahead in the long run. What you then would do is, if you wanted to see what your total net patient revenue was, you just drop down to line and it says total net patient revenue. You can see what it was for the month, what it was budgeted for, and where we are for the current year. The same thing happens with your other operating revenues, which is just below that. Then you have your operating expenses, which is below that. Then you have your tax dollars, which is below that. This can give you a complete history of where we are for this month and where we are for the whole year. The next page, everything on the last page, actually shows what your net income and loss was for the period, the budget, as well as where we are for the total year. And Vicki and I and Sandra and Diana, we're still working very tediously trying to make sure everything's transferred over correctly from APS. We're not on APS anymore, but we still use it. In fact, I was on the phone today with APS over some questions, trying to make sure everything transferred over correctly so that it did, we could fix it for the auditors. We feel, fairly certain, and we were very careful with helping us careful with us to make sure everything transferred over. And remember, this conversion only happened to the hospital Now, the information we see from Party View is on Health Plan too, but it's driven from information that we received from another accounting system over at Party View. Carolyn over there shares that information with Vicki, and they get together and work on that, make sure it all ties together. And then Vicki actually inputs that information into the health plan. I made it sound a lot simpler than it really is. On page 46 and 47, you're going to see the balance sheet for the department. What you're going to see there is a comparison from the current year to last year. Again, your current assets, you can see they've gone up a little bit. And that just happens from the different purchases that you might make and the build up of different things and assets. And it's good to see assets going up. That makes your bottom line better. You can see that the property, plant, and equipment, that goes down. But remember, that's because of depreciation, which is not real money. But that changed for governmental entities about 2001. Used to, you didn't have to worry about depreciation. But the GASB came in and said, no, we want governmental agencies to look just like the regular everyday agencies out there. That's the only way you get a true picture of how they're performing. So they started making you track your depreciation. And that's why that shows up now. It didn't always have to be there. Again, your liabilities are the same way as they were for the hospital, coming down to where what you're seeing now on your current earnings. Shows to be about 100, which the next page turns, 152,000. If you look at last year's, they were at a loss. So there's a quite an improvement in the past 12 months in the Park View which is good to see because as a district as a whole, I believe we're seeing improvement everywhere. On page 50, you can see, actually 49 and 50, you can see the check run that Park View did. Once again, you run through there, you see any of these checks, you want to ask about them, feel free to go over and get messy up. I'd like to see what this check run is about. I'll see what we paid. You have a right to do that as every citizen does. On page 51 is the profit and loss for the nursing home. Once again, it has your operating revenues, other revenues, and your operating expenses. It comes down and shows you where you are for the current period versus the budget, and then also for the total year concerning what was budgeted. If you'll see that 152, there it is again at the very bottom line. This year, under the year to date, that 152, that's where you get that, that's what they paid for the whole year. So, and it was budgeted at 83, so you can see that they're actually doing better as at the hospital, even what they budgeted, which is always a good sign. Always a good sign. I feel that the entity as a whole, the district, we're a lot stronger than we were 12 months ago, and I can only see us going uphill. I feel very positive about what we see. We've already talked a little bit about the air. We're still working on it. Don't know how much longer. I was actually asked today, when could we say it's going to be fixed? And I wish I could say that because we've actually had some patients. And the last thing you want to do if you're sick or trying to recover is being in a hot room. And there are some patients that are going to want to go someplace else if we can't say, yeah, the air conditioner's going to be fixed. So we're working on it as hard and as fast as we can, but this has truly been a domino effect. That's what happened to us Monday. They came in and started working on it, and they said, well, we got to stop. But now we got to fix this. And it's actually breaking off in their hands. So we're trying to get there. Health plan, I've already updated you on that. You may know this, but in case you don't, Dr. Lansing and his wife are moving out of the country. July 15th will actually be his last day here. He may be gone next week. He's closing his clinic next week, but he's on call through the ER up until July 15th. Remind you that our new doctor, Dr. Tyson Purdy, will be here August 1st. So we may be losing one, but we'll be gaining another. And we're very forward to Mr. Dr. Purdy. And we're going to have to try to decide how to know what we're talking about. But with both Dr. Burke. And we'll work that out once Tyson gets here. His dad has been over to visit me a few times this week, and they're actually at his graduation. That's his graduation this week. That's really all I have, unless you have a specific question.
Several, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we had talked about in the emergency room, and there was a lot of problems for people who go to the emergency room where they should be going to the doctor. How are they still handling that the way it needs to be? Sometimes when you get new employees, some of the stuff that we talked about in tax ordinance law.
Okay, well, it's interesting you asked that question because that was actually posed earlier today. What I can tell you is that one of the other local hospitals have, and we do this too, a triage where they run through the gamut, is this a true emergency? And if it's not a true emergency, then they're asked, how do you plan on paying for this? If it's not an emergency, life-threatening, and they are private pay, and they cannot pay at least a portion, then we don't have to sue. And what actually happened to us today is someone came in from another community because they had been refused service. We asked the same questions, and we would have to do the same thing because we can't run this as a business. So yes, we are still screening the people. If it's an emergency, you don't have a choice. You have to do it, and that's fine. I think all of us will be in those shoes. But if we do screen them for insurance, we do pre-authorization if it has to be done before we do anything else. And then we, of course, collect from the insurance, and then in some cases we try to collect from the individuals. And in case of Medicare and Medicaid, that's what you see those allowances for, those contractuals, because we have to write that off. We are not allowed to collect the difference in Medicare and Medicaid. Does that answer your question?
I was just thinking about the other day, I was in here, those people were in the rooms, I was just wondering how that was going. But we had discussed it.
Well, we do have quite a few people who come in, what you term after hours or on the weekend. And of course they do that because they know that they don't have to go to the clinic, and we should, or they think we should at least treat them anyway. So we do screen them, and it puts a lot of load on the nurses because they've got to make the right call. The doctor's not always here, so they have to decide, is this a true emergency? Should we call the doctor? How should we handle step ones? And they have a plan. And we have a lot of good nurses, and so far it's worked very well.
David, did you just talk with one person, one company about working on their admission system?
No, we actually went through the process of we actually called out 3 different companies who led us to carry, who actually did the work on air conditioners before in 2005. So they were well aware of what was going on and what needed to be done. We had to take, as you can see, the quick action that we had to take doesn't seem very quick since it's been now like 4 weeks. But we started off with a company out of Amarillo, ended up with a company in Corpus Christi, and then ended up with a company, local company in Lubbock, which actually has had to call in other companies because they don't necessarily, this is not just a one item fix. I'm not an air conditioning person, so it's hard for me to talk about what, but something happened with several valves today. It's more of a plumbing situation. They had to have 4 valves replaced and the system cleaned out because the water runs through these giant pipes all through the building and through the coils. And our coils were a problem to start. So this takes several different, it takes plumbers, air conditioning people, and pump companies, because we've lost, I believe, 3 compressors since we started this. And that's because we shut them off, and then there's an oil, and we turn back on, that locks them down, probably because of the corrosion. So we've had to, go through a pumping company who helped us with our boilers and our compressors, and then the carrier was helping with their chillers, and then we've got the chemical company that's helping us put in our chemical treatment, which was completely disconnected, which we didn't know. Which was probably what caused the problem.
Is there any other part of the facility that needs to be inspected?
That's actually why we went with the people we did. They actually, because we started losing some domino effect, they're actually going from the beginning to the end, trying to make sure. And they actually said to me yesterday that we're probably going to have to end up doing this in stages. And I said, well, the first stage we need is we've got to get the patient rooms where they're cool enough for the patients to get, and the doctors are comfortable putting those patients in. So this is actually going to be a staged matter. They have fixed part of it, but it's not a true fix. It's some engineer job right now just to make it as cool as it is. They have 44-degree temperature water up there, but it's not flowing. And that's our problem. All the pipes have corroded and stopped up, and it's getting into these compressors and into the coils, and that's what we're trying to back flush and clean these out at the present time. It's quite a process. And we don't, we have some good men on the staff, but they're not air conditioning experts either. And they're working side by side and hand in hand with the experts that have come in and spent a lot of hours. And this went through a lot of contacts to get to the right people. And sometimes you just have to trust people.
Do we need any kind of resolution to prove expensive like we did in the nursing home when we had a flood first?
Not at this time, because first of all, I don't know if it's going to be. And this is an emergency situation, so it really, I guess you could, if it's not on the agenda, the next meeting, you can declare this an emergency if you would like. That way we can carry on with whatever, but there's no set amount of dollar at this point in time. My guess was do an estimation of what they would tell me for the 100,000. Then again, I came back with 20, and now it's back up to 50 to 75. So there's no way for us to know exactly what it's going to be. But in an emergency situation, you have to take action immediately.
Any other discussion on the fines on statistical reports? And Megan, did you have anything to add to your administrative report?
Because I want to speak with her about it.
We are in a current in-house census of 45. We have had several deaths in the facility recently, but we've also had 3 new admissions in the past week. So that has kind of allowed us to maintain our current census. On that note, I have done some marketing this week at University Medical Center in Lubbock. I didn't feel like I accomplished much, but I went with 100 magnetic business cards and came back with only 46. So made some really good contacts there. I was able to talk with some PAs and some nephrologists that were really interested to hear about the access care being in the facility and stuff like that, but they weren't aware of that. And so that was some really positive marketing that took place. Also, on a very exciting note, all deficiencies are officially cleared in case some of the members of the board have not heard that. The fines are still pending and have not yet been assessed. Of course, that would be at a maximum of $10,000 if they are assessed. But at this point in time, the thinking is basically so long as we're not cited again for the same deficiency, there's a great possibility that no fines will be assessed. We'd like to say a great thanks to the support group, some of those members, and to the Muleshoe Feed Barn. If you haven't been by the facility lately, we do have our car put up and the bus is parked underneath it. It looks great, and we're very excited with the inclement weather in the area that we've had that. And the Everyday Heroes program has kicked off very well. We were very excited last Payday Friday to give our first Everyday Hero Award to Toby. He has been helping in on the floor at Parkview, who has worked before a lot recently as a CNA. He always goes above and beyond. I think it's pretty cool that most of his Everyday Hero cards were actually from CNAs on the floor who appreciate what he does for them. And so I thought that was a very cool award to be able to give to him. And we again thank our support group for their help with making that happen. And we'll be be giving another Everyday Heroes Award tomorrow at our payday in service, and that's every other Friday at 2 o'clock. And anyone from the community that would like to attend that and see us give that award to a staff member is always more than welcome. So I think that's about it for parking.
What are the awards? What does it consist of? Like a plaque or?
It's a cash prize that is funded by the support group. So, and then all of the Everyday Heroes cards are posted. We do cut off the name of the person who wrote that card, but they are posted in the administration hallway. There's a big Everyday Heroes poster board, and we'll post new ones every 2 weeks so that staff can read those and see the comments that have been written. And that's something that anyone in the community, I don't know if you've seen out at other hospitals you've been in and stuff, anytime you're in the facility and see a particular staff member going above and beyond, I would encourage everyone in the community to write a note and slip it in the box. It's right there at the nurse's station. I think it's really important that we appreciate our staff members when they are making their heroic action. And so many of our staff do go above and beyond what the basics of their job are, and this is just to recognize them for that.
Thank you. And certainly commend you on your actions on the clear up of the state. It's nice to have that behind us, and hopefully there'll be no fines.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the board members pertaining to the monthly reports or concern? Very well. Entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Chad, before you do, can I ask you a couple of questions, or I already missed that?
Yes, sir. If you would like to sign in,
I did.
and a check to address the board. And then when we return to executive session, we'll allow some time for that. Address the board, just take this. Okay, thank you very much. And if there's anybody else who'd like to address the board, certainly welcome to sign in and check that. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn the executive session. Has it been seconded?
Who's quickest?
All those in favor? Any opposed? Sure. Board members, Heather and Bill. Okay, we're back in open session, and there was no action taken regarding the QA report. Doing something a little bit different. We're going to move back to open forum. I think there were several people that didn't realize the new changes. Open forum is certainly extended as a courtesy, and a board that is wanting to hear the opinions of the public so we can make proper actions regarding that. In open forum, individuals will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board, and there will be no discussions regarding thereafter. First person requesting to address the board, Dale Griswold.
Yeah, I'm Dale Griswold. I'd like to ask the question, why 2 board members would take action in a direction that the rest of the board had already agreed not to do, and why they felt they could do that.
That motion has been tabled, and certainly I cannot answer that question. Next, we have Travis Copley.
If that issue's been tabled, is the public aware of when that's revisited? Is it policy? I mean, I'm ignorant of the way these things work. Is it, will it be public knowledge when that's revisited and there's a decision made one way or the other?
Yes, pursuant to the Open Policies Act, that when that motion is revisited, it will be posted, and everyone will be aware of that.
Okay. And are you speaking of the 2 things that were tabled tonight? You're talking about the 2 motions that were tabled this evening?
That is correct.
Okay. I believe Mr. Griswold's issue was concerning an earlier issue where I had spoken with you about you saying that personally, you and I had this conversation, and you voiced the opinion that you had the executive authority to interpret and enforce bylaws without a quorum of the board. And I just want to know if that remains your opinion.
And those things are not on the agenda tonight, and those things cannot be discussed as well.
Okay.
And next we have Sandy Melbourne.
I just had a couple of questions, things I don't understand. The only thing I know about this operation is what I read in the paper. I don't understand this rural clinic. And just talking among some of my friends, and you can ask people on the street, the general consensus, they're kind of afraid this is going to be like that deal at the north end of the building. And we've been in some money losing projects before, and everybody's afraid it's going to happen again. And we're kind of wanting our tax dollars to maintain what we have. We don't want to see a rise in taxes because we're spending more. And Mr. Burke said a while ago, it's showing a profit. First time I've heard that, I don't know when. That's nice to hear. But all we ever hear is this place loses money and loses money. How can it add more debt? Long-term debt, he said, was down. Paying it off, that's good. So I don't think we really understand what this rural clinic is. And the other issue I wanted to ask about is the maintenance. My wife was in here in March, and her room couldn't be any better. It was clean, everybody was very helpful. But then, a friend in here, he's about to burn up. Y'all did not know the air conditioner was going to quit. So somewhere back down the road, the decision was made to bypass that thing that you had to have. And I don't know who made the decision or they qualified to make the decision. I went into one room up here visiting a guy, and the wall plate on the electric socket's not even there. There's wires just hanging out of the wall. Talked to a patient that was in here, he was going to take a shower, and he turned it on, and water didn't come out the shower head, it hit the ceiling. And I don't understand why this type of maintenance issues are not more of a priority. Why is that not more of a concern than adding some more long-term debt? And it's y'all's job, and I'm glad y'all want to do it. We sure don't. That's a hard road to hold, but it's just kind of a talk around town. And what we get out of the paper is this place is just a fiasco. And I just wanted one.
I definitely appreciate your concern, and it's something that this board will look into. As far as the rural health care clinic, unfortunately, it's not on the agenda, and I can't comment on that right now. But speaking on behalf of this board, the hospital district is above most all the utmost importance of what our job is here today.
I think that's what people want.
Yes, sir.
They want to come down here to a good hospital.
Well, I thank you for your concern, and we will definitely look into that. Did we have anybody else who wished to address the board that hadn't signed in? Okay. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm not going to adjourn.
And a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. We thank everyone for coming.